potentially doing in the next couple of weeks. And so there's two things that have been kind of talked about. One is the idea of protesting at all 50 state capitals, in particularly those that certified the election for President-elect Joe Biden. And to somehow demonstrate there or have armed protests there. The second one is an idea of if Congress, this is what these people are talking about, if Congress invokes the 25th Amendment, starting January 16th, that there'll be some sort of a violent uprising in Washington, D.C. Now, Casey, most people are smart enough to know that Congress can't invoke the 25th Amendment, so that raises questions about what the group is thinking about. But this type of information is kind of a survey of what's out there as far as what people are talking about, and it's being shared among law enforcement so that everybody kind of has an understanding as far as what's the discussion, what's going on, what do we need to be thinking about, what do we need to be investigating. And on that front, we're already hearing from some of the FBI field offices across the country, for instance, the FBI in Boston, saying they don't have any information specific incredible to their capitals on Inauguration Day. So there we're talking about Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine. So they're on the record saying, look, we don't have anything specific to our capitals. So it's important to note, just a quick indulgence on how law enforcement intelligence works. There's the side of it that gathers information and says, okay, this is what people are talking about. This is what they're discussing about online. Some of that information is the same type of information that if you and I were highly trained and spent all day focusing on this, we could easily derive ourselves. Sometimes law enforcement puts out a bulletin type information, which is derived from the investigations that they're doing and is derived from law enforcement information. We don't appear to have that today. So basically, we have a summary of what's going on in the world, and then we also have the idea that specific investigations or at least information is being derived as far as what to expect in certain state capitals. So that's kind of the overall sense of things.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is important. Do not turn this off. I'm not even going to sit here and tell you to get over to my website, even though I'm covering this over there, and it's important to be there in the forum, in the threads, creating threads talking about this. But I was talking about the Insurrection Act, and I was researching the repetition. Right? What do I always talk about on this channel? Why do you think I show you the movie clips over and over of the same theme, the same narrative? And people go, well, that's not really important stuff. Well, because it all is leading to what we're seeing right now. They've been preparing everyone for it. And if you look at the Insurrection Act being invoked, all you see is stories by every mainstream media outlet talking about what is it, what is it, what is it? Because they want people to know what it is in advance of them doing it, right? Another form of sigil magic. But they're also giving people, planting seeds in their head for what's about to go down. Because they want them to know about martial law and why we would need it and why it would be important. Because of these crazy damn rioters out there, right? Look at this headline on CNN. FBI warns armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals and in Washington, D.C. And I don't care if I get a strike. You know where to find me if I got a strike. Mm-hmm. They're planning armed protests in all 50 state capitals. Who is planning them? Oh, I'll tell you, this is coming from within. This is your own government doing this to its own citizens. Yep. What do you think? Joe Schmo got together with 10 of his friends, and then they told 10 friends, and they all decided, you know what? I'll risk going to jail for the rest of my life. I'll risk getting shot by the military, and and losing my job and my home or wherever I may live because I love Donald Trump so much. And I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to grab my gun, and I'm going to protest the state capitol. 50 state capitals? Huh? Listen to this. The FBI has received information indicating armed protests are being planned at all 50 state capitals and the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. in the days leading up to President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration on January 20th. This is according to an internal bulletin obtained by CNN. So look at this. Armed protests are being planned in all 50 state capitals from the 16th through the 20th of January and at the U.S. Capitol from the 17th through the 20th as well. The bulletin, which was circulated after rioters stormed the Capitol last week, also suggests that there are threats of an uprising, no pun intended, and President Donald Trump is removed via the 25th Amendment before Inauguration Day. On January 8th, the FBI received information on an identified group calling others to join them in storming state, local, and federal government courthouses and administrative buildings in the event the POTUS is removed. Huh? Oh, so people, I'm sorry, isn't this the same? You can't even post on YouTube, let alone, where are these people posting this, right? And why would we hear stories about the government showing up at people's doors if they threaten somebody or say something bad about a president. Oh, and they're monitoring this, and people are like, "Oh, we're gonna grab our guns and we're gonna go riot and go to the state capitol," and they're not getting arrested. Oh, that's right, because our government's funding it. Why? So they could bring in martial law. Why are they telling you about the Insurrection Act beforehand? Because they want you to be prepared. And who's been saying this? Like I was just saying on my website, who's been saying this for 5 years since I've been on YouTube?
That too. Like,
A
crazy.
lot of channels would constantly say they're gonna bring in martial law. Be ready, be ready. And I always said, they're going to bring in martial law. But the scary part is these idiots are going to want it. They're going to ask for it. They're going to beg for it. So what did they do? They created a movie. They created a scene. They made the enemy into people like you and me, who are real truthers or awakened people.
Yep.
And they linked us to this retarded movement called QAnon, which we have nothing to be no part of it.
Nope.
But since they believe in conspiracies, now we're linked to them. And we're all conspiracy nuts, and we're all dangerous terrorists. And then they're going to slip in people from the military into their little protests who are going to be violent, who are paid to be there, who are doing their job and rioting and doing all this stuff because it's a government operation to bring in martial law. That's why. And the funny part is these idiots who think we're all crazy, now that everything we're saying is justified, they still think we're crazy. You know why? Because they think that this is in the country's best interest. No freedom of speech. That means no freedom of speech for you either, tubbalards out there who don't like this channel. Don't like people like me. Listen to this crap. The identified group is also planning to storm government offices, including the District of Columbia, and in every state, regardless of whether the state certified electoral votes for Biden or Trump on the 20th of January. Additionally, the FBI is tracking reports of various threats to harm President-elect Joe Biden ahead of the presidential inauguration. Additional reports indicate threats against VP-elect Harris and Speaker Pelosi. Calls for new protests in Washington and states across the country have law enforcement bracing for more possible violence in the days to come. Authorities are preparing for additional personnel to help secure the nation's capital in the coming days, which is the military, of course. Department of Homeland Security told CNN that the breach of the Capitol will sharpen the response of the planning for inauguration. Right? So this is the quote. Now that it happened, people were going to take this much more seriously. So that's why they needed that event to occur at the Capitol Hill. That's why, even though nothing happened, and it was, it was comical. You had a Viking running around. You had all the talking heads on TV. Get everybody who's an idiot out there who watches the TV like they're watching their mother or father talk to them. Get them all emotional about this. Oh, it's the worst thing that's ever happened in this country. Oh, yeah? More people die via drunk drivers every day. A lot more. A lot worse things happen every day. Domestic violence, rape. No, because somebody put their feet up on someone's desk. Oh, someone was shot. Oh, my bad. And this video is going to get taken down. I don't really give a damn. Because everyone who's listening to this should already be on my website anyway. But I'm sick of having to say it because this is the end coming soon here. A free speech.
Yep.
Period. This is what this is about. This is why Trump had to be in office. And not Hillary. Because they had to get rid of us first. Hillary made too much sense. They needed to do this. To incite, to eliminate, to divide. And this is what we're looking at. I can go on for an hour with this, but I'd rather just do it on the website because this platform is dead and deader than a doornail. And, I mean, this is just stuff we've all been talking about, and still nobody listens, right? Now that it happened, people are going to take it much more seriously. Oh, now that an event that happened because the CIA and the government created it, oh, and right, all of these groups are getting together. And you're telling me with the technology that we have where you can take a dump and watch football in the toilet, that the government can't get in and intervene these uprising groups from stopping? And I hate to use the word uprising because this channel is not about a militia uprising. The word uprising is about coming up, getting together, rising above. But now they're using it as a trigger word, of course, but what does it matter at this point? I'm talking about the National Guard having plans of up to 15,000 troops.
That's ridiculous.
To meet current and future requests for the inauguration. I mean, there is something going on in the next week or so. And look, we've all say stuff, and we've said stuff where, something's going to go down. If you don't think something's going down in the next 10 days, get a clue, really. Whatever it is. And guess what? Guess who's behind it? Your own government's behind it. Not Joe Schmo, not a bunch of guys who are horny for Donald Trump, who would rather lose their life for Donald Trump, a guy they've never met. I mean, this is such an act. To think that there's... Even people I know who are pro-Trump aren't like... insane, or even like remotely insane. But nobody would have, oh yeah, I'm going to grab my gun, I'm going to Capitol Hill after what I saw on the TV, and then they're arresting people. Yeah, that's exactly what you want. You want to go to jail so you can bend over and take it 80 times. That sounds appealing, all for Donald Trump, because you don't want Joe Biden in office, and you don't realize the whole thing's a setup. The entire thing is a setup from within.
Nobody understands.
You are pawns in the game.
Yep.
Those of us who are really awake, we're not anymore. I hope to see you guys over on the website. I have nothing else to say on here about it. Disgusting. Absolute joke. But look for the predictive programming. It's out there, and it's happening. Armed protests being planned at all 50 state capitals. Nobody knows a single person who's going to be there. What a coinky-dink. Thank you guys for listening. Hope to see you on the website. God bless all of you and your families.